Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Teams webinar. My name is Shelley Chapatis, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager at Sureweb. And today joining me is Jared Burnett. And Jared is a 10-year Microsoft veteran, currently leading Microsoft 365 Modern Workplace Strategy for small and mid-sized businesses in Canada. Following his 15 years in media and CPG, Jared jumped from the opportunity to join Microsoft in sales and operations in 2009. Also joining for today's webinar is Jeremy Bertillon. And Jared is a product marketing manager for business apps at Sureweb. He has a strong focus on helping his partners grow. Jeremy's background is in business strategy, in which he has a master's degree from HEC. He worked with SMBs and large enterprises in the past, in B2B and B2C businesses, and he has also worked as a marketing consultant and international sales manager. So let's get on with the webinar. Jared, can you begin presenting now?
Sure, and thank you very much for that introduction, Shelley. I am going to request control here. Let me figure this out, how I do that. Show my screen. It looks like that's going to happen. So again, Shelley, let me know when you can see my screen. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm glad to be here. Most importantly, thank you very much to those on the phone. I'm going to assume you can see my screen now, and I'll proceed as is. Great. As I present on screen, you can probably see some of the closed captioning at the bottom. That's obviously on purpose. This is actually artificial intelligence infused into Office 365. It's sort of the first part of my demo without knowing I'm demoing it. It's a great built-in feature, again, that gets smarter as the machine learning takes hold and folks use this artificial intelligence technology. But again, this is far more accurate than even a few years ago, and it continues to get smarter. But let me get into the presentation here. Let's get to teamwork and the opportunity for this team and our customers to sort of move ahead in the world of teamwork. You know, we know that landscape is shifting. SMBs need to make work better. You know, small companies are more likely to hire remote employees. 52% of the global workforce works from home. I'm working from home right now. And, you know, 6 times as many small businesses agree that those team structures are becoming the norm. You know, when I came to work this week or even today from home, I'm working a lot more on teams and projects rather than those repetitive TPS reports every day that I'm delivering to management. Rather, I'm working more collaboratively in teams remotely. Of course, we have offices around the world and we're leveraging this type of technology. And that's the norm. And frankly, Microsoft Canada is opening a new office next year in downtown Toronto. And we are not going to have assigned cubicles for the first time. So again, that idea of working remotely is really taking hold in both small and larger enterprises. When we take a look at the small and mid-sized landscape today, there's all sorts of these disjointed collaboration and sharing techniques and software platforms and processes that really become a nightmare for our customers and their IT staff. There's security concerns. We often ask IT departments, are you running shadow IT? Are you aware of any shadow IT? And those, of course, could be consumer products that employees are posting sensitive information on. So this idea that teamwork may be rampant in the workplace, but it's not necessarily under control. And the idea of Microsoft Teams and the offer that and the opportunity it avails to this group to monetize that really comes together when you take a look at a slide like this and really internalize what that mess looks like in a lot of our SMBs. And SMBs really need that technology to enable teamwork. There's 5 generations in the workforce. Some of the older generations prefer email. The younger generations prefer chat, instant messaging. So we need those communication platforms that not only span across chat, email, video, but also allows different folks to interact with their teams in different ways across all platforms, whether it's iOS, Android, or Windows. So SMB's collaboration challenges really come down to 2 things: the ability to get work done from anywhere and document version and control. Let me give you an example. Quite often we'll work on reports to our senior management staff. And in the old days, I would email Shelly version 1 and Shelly would work on it and send me back version 2 with her changes, and I'd send it to Jeremy and he'd create version 3B. And at the end of the day, we had all these versions floating around in email. Through modern collaboration tools like Teams, you can share those documents online and work on them in real time. So I would see Shelly's name floating in one area of the document and Jeremy would be working on the other, but we'd all be working on the same document, of course, underpinned by enterprise grade security on the Microsoft cloud. And SMBs really have challenges to buy this technology. They want to make it easier for their team to do their jobs, but often are barraged with a number of different collaboration and software options. In many SMBs, there's 100+ different SaaS applications being used. Of course, we want to lead to more employee and improved employee productivity, working anywhere, anytime across any device, understanding it's underpinned by world-class enterprise-grade security. So that's the landscape. When we lead into what solutions help drive this landscape, we look at Office 365. And this is where partners like yourselves can help build those lasting customer relationships, because the idea of collaboration starts with Office 365. And of course, Teams is a part of that. Office 365 allows that mobile worker support. It enables SMBs to work anywhere, anytime. External collaboration, we want to work with teams, workers that may be seasonal, frontline workers, first-line workers. How do we engage with suppliers, etc., using modern collaboration tools, underpinned by that enterprise-grade security and that real-time teamwork. Again, that getting out of attachment hell, if you will, and working in documents on real time. This is what Office 365 solves for those SMB challenges we just spoke of earlier. And this is where we lead to Teams, that hub work, that teamwork hub for Office 365. And I'll show you what it means in real life as I go into my live demo in a couple of minutes. But really, Teams is becoming the new operating system. It's that one pane of glass where I can access my chat, my files, my phone, my voicemail, my meetings across OneDrive, SharePoint, and Office 365 applications that are all interwoven underneath this new placemat. Access and share all of our documents. This is where we connect and work together in this teamwork hub. And again, co-authoring files simultaneously using Office 365, Word, and Excel. Microsoft Teams enables chat and online meetings, work from anywhere, peer-to-peer calling, phone planning now that we've launched in Canada. Microsoft 365 Business Voice, which I'll touch on in just a moment, is an incredible complement for your customers to add on to existing Office 365. And it gives you enterprise-grade telephony capabilities for SMBs within Teams, making work easier and speeding the innovation cycle, allowing for that collaboration. Canada and the UK are only the two markets worldwide now that do offer SMB Microsoft 365 Business Voice. Again, it launched November 5th. There are some trials available. Shelly and the awesome Sureweb team will be available to help you with that particular solution. But again, another opportunity to monetize the Teams stack. So how do we grow your business with teamwork? We know we're going to help customers collaborate, get out of email hell, provide one platform where all of their information can come together both internally and externally. But how can this community add teamwork services and monetize that? Our studies show that you can make up to $17 per user per month on teamwork managed services in this particular segment. First, there's the teamwork basics, the migration, email, chat, initial collaboration. How do we help our customers through that journey and moving them to the cloud? How do we then extend that into meetings management and device management across the device landscape in our customer's environment? And then how do we build custom IP, custom team solutions, our own IP that we can then roll out to our customers? Teams is an incredible development platform, and I'll show you a little bit what that looks like as well in this particular webinar. And all of this is underpinned by that adoption and change management services. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we're going to show you a new way to work, a new way to collaborate that unleashes your business capabilities. And there's awesome opportunity there for those types of one-time teamwork assessment engagements, collaboration engagements, change management engagements, and then that ongoing recurring service capability on readiness, training, department rollouts, etc. So that's how we think about monetizing the opportunity with teamwork. Here's some more specific examples now that brings us a little bit to life. How do we go and talk to our SMBs about organization and sharing of information on the cloud platform? Well, we can start with migrating to the cloud, migrating email, files, identity. Of course, Windows 7 and Office 2010 is coming end of support shortly. So there'll be an acceleration of this migration, we suspect, over the next few months as our customers move from legacy on-premises to cloud solutions and being able to unlock all of these cloud applications that enable this collaboration. How do we help them standardize the organization? How do we set up their teams for optimal deployment and usage? And then how do we integrate other Microsoft services into the team's experience? There's one opportunity. Then there's the adoption and change management opportunity I spoke of a couple minutes ago. How do we accelerate that end user adoption and value with those one-time and ongoing services, demonstrating how organizations can capture the opportunity with collaboration to drive their own business? How do we onboarding workshops that we offer to customers to get them familiar with working within this environment? Again, that younger generation or the younger generations, coming out of university and early on in their career are used to working with these engagement tools, these online cloud-based SaaS collaboration tools. So we need to make sure we continue to engage with that group. And then how do we agree on metrics on change management? How do we ensure that the business is in fact being pushed forward as we adopt these new ways to collaborate? And then there's meetings management. How do we go all out and conduct an assessment to determine the needs for meeting solutions? Are you taking advantage of cloud technology through Teams to have those meetings online? Are you saving real estate dollars and travel dollars because you're taking advantage of the scale that Microsoft Teams and calling capabilities and Sureweb support offers you? So there's the opportunity again to monetize those things with ongoing services. And then there's those custom solutions. You can see on screen here that an airline has actually created a line of business application through Teams that enables flight attendants to swap shifts and swap flight shifts they're scheduled for. There's also ADP virtual assistant. Of course, ADP is what many organizations use for their payroll. All of these things can be coded as part of the Teams platform, and that's pretty exciting. So at the end of the day, I don't want to drain this slide. I want to show you what Teams is all about in real time and show you the way I work to help bring this to life. But again, there's some great opportunities here on how to acquire new customers, how to upsell them, what the opportunity looks like, some talking points that you can use, those compelling events, end of support Windows 7, Office 2010, Exchange Online users looking to go beyond the mailbox, some conversation starters. How do you think about file sharing? How do you think about collaboration and version control? How do you think about insufficient meetings? Quite often meetings can take up to 12 minutes to start when using clunky old technology. Teams meetings begin within 30 seconds. It's a wonderful thing. Again, how do we help enable you through Sureweb to delight our customers using these tools? There's plenty of great support that Sureweb and Microsoft can help you with in terms of conversation starters, trials, and all that other good support. Now, to bring it all together, here's where we can show you the money tree in terms of building those practices, leveraging teamwork, collaboration, and in Canada, Microsoft 365 Business Voice. This is a 3-year look. Of course, it was $16 per month opportunity. When you extend that out and grow that, you're looking at a 3-year annual opportunity per user at $180. Win the foundation with Office 365 Business Essentials. Many of our customers already have Teams and they're just not using it. Many of our customers have other collaboration tools they're paying for, like Slack, for example, and have Teams they're paying for and may not know. So if we haven't won the foundation, let's win that foundation. If we've won the foundation, let's make sure that Teams is being deployed and leveraged in those organizations. Then we move to those attaching those services. And again, Sureweb is awesome support on this, migrating files, establishing meetings, setting up teams, what that looks like. And then how do we go further and standardize collaboration on teams throughout the organization, more change management, modernize and integrate line of business applications, develop your own IP. Really, the sky's the limit. My final slide again is Microsoft 365 Business Voice. This is the phone system designed for Office 365 for small business in Canada. For those on the phone that may be familiar with Microsoft 365 or Office 365, our E5 voice solution, this is really E5 voice for small business, all the features and the richness, plus an easy get starting wizard. So an organization can set up their phone numbers, their direct dial voicemails within 5 minutes, and a great opportunity to offer those services to our customers. I'm going to jump out of my PowerPoint now. I'm 20 minutes in. I believe I have 10 more minutes to show you Microsoft Teams. This is my real Teams. This is not a demo. I hope there's nothing inappropriate here. I'm sure there isn't, but this is my real work. So please don't take screen captures. This is what I do when I get in the morning. I don't check email anymore. I've tried to avoid that. What I do is I go into my Teams, my beautiful operating system, my placemat. And the first thing I do is I look at my activity. You'll see the left nav menu here, very typical things we're used to in other collaboration or legacy software applications. So my activity, this is feeds. This is stuff I might be interested in, conversations that I've been a part of where there's replies. You know, when we communicate back and forth, here's a high five from Ali. You know, he liked what I said. This is how we communicate. We're not sending emails back and forth. How you doing? Are we ready for this? Great. And we move on, we react. So this is the first thing I do in the morning is I check my feed. Then I go into my chat. And if somebody's looking for me, of course, this will be all black, but I've checked all of my my chat, so I'm up to speed. And again, the beauty of this is persistent across all devices. So if I picked up my mobile now, my iPhone, I would see this exactly the same way on my phone. So Jason and I, we're a colleague. We're going back and forth. You can see we're sharing a file here, the comparison of Microsoft 365 Business and Office 365. We're not sending emails back and forth. And hey, this is the way we're working. So this is the way, you know, our chat works, very similar, familiar, great stuff. The next thing, and this is really where the opportunity for this community is how do we set up the optimal Teams environment for our customers? And even at Microsoft, we're still learning and adapting to this. You can see the teams that I'm a part of, and I've sort of dragged the most important teams to the top. And within each team, you can see the various channels. And within the channels, you can see this one here. I'm hoping you can see this. There's a lock, right? This is a private only channel where obviously a select group of important people, including me, can look for things. But this is my business group. This is the way we're communicating. This is the way we're setting up our planning and sharing documents. You'll see that each channel along the top has our files stored, right? So these are related files that everybody is interested in this particular channel. So what happens when you set up a Teams channel, or a Teams group, excuse me, when you set up a team, it creates SharePoint and OneDrive and an email address all in the background. So it's all secure across our entire platform. But rather than jumping in and out of SharePoint, Excel, OneDrive, I've got my files here that are related to this particular topic. I can go into a SharePoint view. If I'm an admin and IT and I want to see all of these things in the background, the admin capabilities on this are fairly robust. But again, what I'm not doing is jumping from application to application. Now, here's my calendar. All of this is my Outlook calendar. But rather than going into my Outlook calendar, I go into Teams and I see what's happening now, and we can see we're in the middle of my webinar. And again, if a Teams meeting gets created in Outlook, it gets automatically distributed into Teams and back and forth. Again, this is just exposing Outlook. There's nothing new here. And of course, I can meet now. And if I want to meet now, I want to show you something here. I'm going to turn on my video cam here. I'm hoping you can see me. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a little fake meeting here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use artificial intelligence and I'm going to blur my background. I'm hoping that you can see that. You should be able to see me in the front, and artificial intelligence is isolating the pixels in the background to create a blur. So if I was in an office and I had all sorts of sticky notes in the back or a whiteboard, this would all be blurred. In the next version of this software, I think in the next couple months, I'll be able to put a custom background. So I could be sitting in an office in Buckingham Palace or a Starbucks. But again, this is artificial intelligence built into Teams. This is called background blur. I just wanted to give you a quick look at that. But again, I do look at my calendar, not through Outlook, but through Teams. This is the telephony portion. Again, this experience is now available to our small business. And what's showing here these are the contacts I actually use and talk to most, not people that are in alphabetical order by any kind. So what it's using is artificial intelligence to actually surface the folks that Office 365 sees who I collaborate most with, who am I emailing most with, who am I chatting with, and then it exposes those people up front, again, making it more efficient and productive for me. And this again is where my files are. And what happens is these are the latest files that surface here. I'm not going into SharePoint. I'm not going into individual applications. It's all being surfaced here. So here is the teamwork opportunity deck that I'm showing now. Now that I've opened it in preview mode, you'll notice that I'm not jumping out of PowerPoint. It's actually opening up in Teams, and I can actually edit this now in Teams without going back and forth to PowerPoint, knowing that it's being saved to the cloud, knowing that it's accessible from any device, anytime, across any platform. So again, Teams is where I'm collaborating, where I'm grabbing my files, where I'm chatting with my teammates, where we're having a good time and smiling and all that other good stuff. All of our meetings are recorded, uploaded to Microsoft Stream. So as we have these meetings, the meetings are then posted in the channel so we can go back and review them. Again, all real time, right? So here is a web series training that we did yesterday. Again, right embedded into Teams, nothing fancy or sophisticated from a cross-platform perspective. It's all there. It's all uploaded, encoded, all with Microsoft security backing this up. The final thing, Shelley, I wanted to show the team here before I hand it back to you for questions and for some anything else you want to do to wrap this great session up is show you the add-ons. There's a ton of applications that are native as well as third-party that you can fire up within the Teams environment. Anything from Trello, our friends at Cisco and Zoom, Yammer, Dynamics, Evernote, Salesforce. It goes on and on and on. So the ability and the extensibility of the 365, the Microsoft 365 platform and Teams is also sky's the limit. And as this community thinks about how they can build a Teams practice, how they can monetize business voice, and then how can you develop your own intellectual property and applications that tie into Teams to really drive your customers' digital transformation, saving them time, saving them money, and making them the best they can be. Shelley, that's what I wanted to show from a Teams demo and slide perspective. I'm going to hand it back to you. I'll turn my microphone on to mute, and we'll see if there's any current questions on the line.
Thanks, Jared. That was a really great presentation on Teams. Really appreciate that. Further, sorry about that. It was a little bit of technical difficulty. So yeah, thank you for that great presentation on Teams. Really appreciate that, and it really shows, you know, how communication and collaboration is being taken to new levels. That being said, on our side, you might want to consider Sureweb's UCaaS solution, which pairs the best of two worlds, both Microsoft Teams and Sureweb's Cloud PBX. We've combined the best business collaboration tools that offer you a single secure productivity suite with internal and external communication capabilities that include such things as voice, video, online meetings, instant messaging, file sharing, an array of other things that helps modern businesses carry out their operations effectively and efficiently. That said, we'll be moving on to the next presentation with Jeremy Bertillon, and we will be having a Q&A session at the very end of the webinar to accumulate all the questions. So Jeremy, take it away.
Hi, so thank you so much for the introduction, Shelley. I'm glad to be on this webinar today. So yeah, the transition from Skype to Teams or Teams itself represent an opportunity to monetize, but it's also an opportunity in terms of change management. So let's start by saying that change management is not easy to tackle for companies, and coping with all the technological advancement can be a real headache. So this is why many employees do not get the most out of their apps and the app they're using, which at the end of the day can translate into loss of productivity and loss of revenue. At the same time, we have companies that too often assume that people and their employees are ready for these type of changes, when in reality they're not, because either they do not take the time to learn or they don't really see the impact on the productivity. I've been in training. We all have been in training once in our life, and we saw that a good part of the material is usually not adapted to us. Whether it's because we're either too qualified for the training, we already knew a bunch of features, or simply that we're not even using the apps itself. So this ends up being super costly for the company, since they always need to address different needs. Um, like it says on the slide here, one size does not fit all. And this is why we need to give the tool to SMBs to help them in their change management initiatives. On top of that, SMBs also frequently see change as a quick thing, but change is not a single event. It is impossible to adopt a software in a day or even after only one training. So I would say that change is what I would call an ongoing process, which cannot be fixed by a lunch and learn or a one-time course. Since Microsoft is constantly adding features to its app, and if you do only a one-time training, well, in 2 months from now, a part of that training will have become irrelevant because some features might not exist anymore, or there's going to be more effective stuff on the market. Technology just changes so quickly. Um, so that said, change management is an ongoing motion, and it requires a recurring set of action. So this is why, as a cloud solution provider, we need to make sure to empower SMBs in their journey of changing the employees' individual behavior so that we're able to achieve with them long-lasting changes. So without a dedicated partner, Office 365 can present some costly challenges. If we look at the numbers here, only 12% of users apply what they learn in training classes. Only 12, which even put more emphasis on the importance of ongoing training initiatives. So on top of the eye fatigue of change resistance, the financial perspective is also really alarming. Because at the end of the day, it's quite easy to calculate the money we make, but SMBs often forget the money they lose in productivity, which is a complete different calculation. If we look here once again, well, $722 per user spent on other software that's already included in O365 is huge. And I think this proves that it's even more costly to spend nothing on training than to spend a little for an ongoing e-learning solution. And this is where Quick Help comes into play. To give you a brief overview, Quick Help is an e-learning solution that we offer here at Sureweb, and it's an e-learning solution that combines product expertise with an intelligent learning platform to create long-term changes. So it's a platform that was built around Microsoft, and the content on Quick Help is always accessible, and everything evolves around Microsoft. So you're going to get live training, 45 monthly webinars, different numbers of skill pad, but we'll dig into that a little further. So this is a platform which is full of content. It's gamified, personalized, and it's super powerful because you get to choose exactly what you need in terms of training at the right moment. It contains hundreds of courses on Office, and at the end of the day, the goal is really to help user get the most out of their applications. So this e-learning tool, Quick Help, can drastically improve Teams user adoption, and there are many other features like optimizing O365 licensing, for instance. But the ultimate goal is always to reduce cost and increase workplace productivity for your customers. So offering Quick Help is really ideal for a certain number of things, drive adoption and usage of Microsoft Teams. It's also going to help your customers work smarter and more efficiently with specific team user case. It's going to help you cut down on help desk, reduce training costs, maximize software investment, and so on. But for me, what is really the most interesting features about Quick Help is that it's personalized. I said on the previous slide that one size training does not fit all. And this is exactly why Quick Help is so powerful. It gives the user what he needs and at the right time so that no time is lost. Someone can also set the journey, for example. You can have your HR manager set specific skill path that will be matching a new features and team or simply a new marketing initiative that your team is trying to put in place. Or the skill path and the user journey can be set by the head of a department or by a person itself. And at the end of the day, you as MSPs, you have also the power to make your own skill path for your customers in order to add some value to your project that you're currently doing with a customer. To take Teams by itself, you will find on Quick Help over a dozen skill path on Teams, from Teams Executive Essential to how to set up Teams on Android and Apple. So really everything that you need to get your team started and active on Teams. You will also have access to a dashboard that look like this, which will show you the live consumption of your customers of Teams. There's not only this dashboard that is available, there's also one for optimized O365 licensing. There's a cost saving calculator on the platform. So it's everything to make your life easier and to be able to empower you to show the return on investment to your customers. So therefore, it's interactive and it makes it easy for you to show that you're a value-added reseller. Here's a few interesting numbers on O365 usage with this e-learning tool. So you'll see that it does make a big difference with OneDrive, SharePoint, a huge one with Yammer, but you can see a 134% increase in team usage. And this represents not only a good monetizing opportunity, but a huge cost saving opportunity for your customers. Finally, why you should focus on this? Well, the reason I believe that you should be focusing harder on this is to truly become an added value reseller. These days, it's more than ever important to shift from being a licensed provider to a productivity reseller. So adding Quick Help, adding an e-learning tool like this one to your offering will not only increase your margins, but it will also increase your stickiness. So it is more important than ever to show the value to your customers to ensure a long-term relationship. And I strongly believe that adding and bundling with an e-learning tool like this is the way to go. Back to you, Shelley. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was a great presentation on Quick Help. Really appreciate that. Before we jump into the Q&A session, we just have a couple of poll questions for all of you. So the first question that we'd like you to answer for the quick poll is, do you want to book a consultation about how to monetize Teams? So if you can select one of the following, yes or no. We'll just give you a few seconds to answer that question. Okay, now we're going to move on to our second question. So our second question is, would you like to activate your free e-learning Quick Help trial? Please select one of the following, yes or no. Okay, thank you everyone for answering those questions. Now we're going to move on to Q&A. We have a number of questions, starting with the first question. Are there any best practices and rollout guides that we can use to deploy in our lab before taking on a client?
Shelley, it's Jared. Shall I take that one?
Yeah, would you please?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that, Shelley. There are a ton of resources on deployment guides, best practices. Sureweb has incredible resources they can share with you, whether it's a marketing department versus finance department. What are those use cases? There are, by the way, yes, there are demos, I believe, demo tenants Sureweb may be able to help you out with as well. Or any reseller can go to demos.microsoft.com as well and spin up your own demo tenants. That's always been available. So yes, you can absolutely play around with it, whether it's through a demo, whether it's the free edition online, but please use it. And there's no shortage of resources on deployment, management, capabilities, use cases, all that other good stuff that that Shelley and team can help you with.
Okay, thank you very much, Jared. We have another question. How do you add an external entity, for example, vendor supplier, to Teams? Jared?
Yes, thanks, Shelley. Great question. We get that a lot. I don't want to go through step by step. We can follow up with you, but it's absolutely something we do all the time. And it's quite easy to do. And the other customer, by the way, the external constituent doesn't require an Office 365 license. They would be using likely Teams on the web, Teams online, to be interacting with you if they don't have the rich client. So that's not a barrier either. So the ability to collaborate is there. We can send you some documentation on how to enable that. It's fairly easy, and we'll follow up with you on that following the webinar. Thank you.
Okay, we have another question, again from Vince Girasolo. Are there any desktop handsets that natively support Teams voice service?
There is an incredible lineup of Teams enabled devices. I saw a couple of them yesterday, and yes, I'm very excited about it. I will make sure that we follow up with you immediately on that. The devices from Logitech, from Yealink, there's some HP devices that are absolutely Teams native and that have been certified on Teams, not Skype for Business, but all of the new architecture that requires that type of certification. So we'll definitely send you some information on that. I think it was Vince who asked. And the beauty is there's solutions for small and large rooms now. So, you know, some of our smaller organizations can have a really incredible, cool Teams meeting room that you can monetize on an ongoing basis. That's quite affordable and scaled for small business. So great question. Thank you.
We have another question for you, Jared, from Rich Lusk. He's asking, I'm noticing businesses of less than 50 users that have Office 365 Business Premium need Teams live events, but that is only available with Enterprise Office 365. Why is that? Is it possible to make Teams live events available for businesses that don't have enterprise licenses?
So you can do Teams broadcast, I believe, up to 300 employees. I believe the capabilities are native in the business SKUs. Let me get back to you on that one specifically, because Teams broadcast is a little bit different, but I believe there is a Teams broadcast capability native to Teams in the business SKUs that I'd like to follow up with you offline if you don't mind. But a great question.
Okay, we have another question. Why not throw your inbox into Teams and call it done with Outlook? Serious question.
And my serious answer is not a bad idea. Maybe somebody else has thought of that already, and maybe it's coming.
Okay.
In fact, there is a cheat right now that my team's technical solutions architect uses. When you create a Teams, Shelley, it actually creates an email address for you. So he's got a rule that forwards his emails to the Teams email address that he then picks up in his messages. It's a little bit of a MacGyver hack. But when it comes to native Outlook email and Teams, wink, wink, nod, nod, I suspect that's on the short-term roadmap.
Okay, one of our last questions is this meeting being recorded? Will we have access to the recording? And the answer is yes.
Great.
We have another question. What is the future of Teams for something like webinar?
It's what we do. All of our webinars are internally at Microsoft. It's a fairly effective tool to do webinars. Again, there's some great competitive solutions out there. I think I'm using one today. The Teams webinar and meeting experience is phenomenal. Again, there's some great competition out there, some great bundles. The beauty of using Teams for a webinar is, again, it's native to Office 365. So pulling up my files and sharing and all of that is so much more seamless in most cases than some of the competitive platforms. But in short, the answer is yes, the webinar capabilities in Teams, especially for small and mid-sized business, is a great solution. And you know, one more thing I want to say, Shelley, before I let this amazing group go, and that is when I think it was Vince asked about Office 365 Business Premium, a lot of our customers again are buying these solutions, and the way to make them sticky so they don't churn out or downgrade is making sure they're using things like Teams and deploying Teams, because I think there's a lot of customers out there, I know in my experience, that don't even know they have it, and then they're paying for another third-party application. Again, good application, nothing about that, but why make the extra expenditure and then have that interoperability concern? So there's huge opportunity, a lot of low-hanging fruit we're finding, Shelley, when it comes to just customers not knowing what they might already have.
Thanks for that, Jared.
And then your solution there, I mean, the readiness solution, the quick help solution, I love it. I mean, what a great opportunity to say, here's what you got, here's how we can help you, and here's how we're going to support you tomorrow. Great. I think it comes together really nicely.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I think we have one more question. From Mark Crosby. If you want to create your own quick help skill path, can it be for custom or third-party apps for Office 365 or SharePoint? Jeremy? Jared? Well, hi, we'll get back to you on that question. Okay. Looks like we have no other questions. So I would like to take this time and thank everyone for joining the Teams webinar. Within the next couple of days, you'll receive the recording plus the slides from the presentation. And we definitely encourage you to attend our future webinars, but we'd like to thank you for joining today's. So thanks everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.